notes. I got notes today. I'm very proud of myself for having notes. We will not ramble today. Hopefully. You know. Hey everybody, it's your girl Gabrielle, aka Gabby, and welcome to Gab with Purpose. Thank you all so much for being patient. I apologize for not having put up a video in a while, but it's just been a crazy time. I feel like that's the excuse that's like okay right now because we're still in a pandemic. It's winter time. I'm currently shooting this video after like a whole bunch of people in Texas haven't had power. Snow is literally everywhere, and the only place in the US that's not like freezing its ass off is Florida. So I want to say, I believe I mentioned this in one of the videos I shot about the books I was going to be reading in February. But if I didn't mention it, I'm going to mention it now. I read The Hate You Give. Now, I actually received this book. I was a winner of a giveaway from a book club that is called Black is Lit. It was founded under the umbrella of the Pact, which is a community organization that is looking to change how things are running. Okay, they're trying to make an impact. They are making an impact. And shout out to them. I'll make sure I link the Equality Pact, their information, and I will definitely be linking the Black is Lit pages on here. They have a book blog. They have so much awesome stuff. Black is Lit is a book club that brings people together through the stories and experiences of characters of color. So I was very excited to join this book club. And the first book they read in January was The Hate You Give. Now, I know it's February, okay, right? But this is a great book that I would recommend to anyone who is wanting to understand just one facet of the Black experience. I think it's a great read for people to get some information. And obviously real world accounts are great. But if any other Black people are like me, y'all is tired, okay? I'm tired of explaining to people what it means to be Black, of trying to tell my experiences. And I'm very grateful for literature and other things that do the work for me, because at this point, baby, if you don't know, you just don't want to know, okay? That's how I feel. So I read The Hate You Give because I am obedient and I wanted to participate in the book club, and I really enjoyed the discussion. I have to be honest. I didn't want to read this book. I've never wanted to read this book. I know. I love the book. It was really great, but I never wanted to read it. I have my reasons, which I will list later on in the video, but I had no desire to read this book. And, so doing the book club, and this being the first read, it definitely made me pull myself out of my reader's comfort zone, because even though I read more than romance, in the last year, that's literally all I've read. Or I read feel-good books, or, books about other things, right? And again, I'll get into more of, I don't want to say what I didn't like, but more of the downsides of this book for me. And it's a personal account as far as like personally why I probably won't read it again. And I'm still not going to see the movie, but I will let the movie play in the background at my house, and then I will I'll rate it, I'll purchase it, whatever, support, whatever. I just won't actually sit and watch it, but we'll get into that later. So let's hop into it. I'm sure a lot of you may have already read this book or seen the movie. Normally I like to see movies that are based off books so that I can go ahead and be one of those people to be like, damn you movies, you have yet to get it right. But like I said, I won't be watching this movie. So let's hop into it, okay? So just a quick trigger warning. There is talk of murder, okay? Racism. And I say racism is a trigger because it absolutely is a trigger. Examples of prejudice and discrimination, and we understand that murder is a serious topic, right? But we also have to understand the emotional effects of things like racism and discrimination and prejudice and how they impact our psyche. So just a trigger warning for anyone who maybe like me or just is not comfortable to hear about stuff like that. It can really fuck up your day. Let me tell you. Okay, so The Hate U Give is written by Angie Thomas, and this book is about a young woman named Star Carter. She's a 16-year-old, and she lives in Garden Heights, but she attends a more prestigious, predominantly white school called Williamson Prep. She lives at home with her mother, her father, and her two brothers. Her mother, Lisa, is a nurse, and her father, Maverick, Big Mav, as they call him affectionately, owns a grocery store. Now, she has an older brother named Seven. Now, I will say people will say that he's her half-brother, but I don't believe in that, right? Like, just because one parent is different doesn't make you half, in my opinion, right? You might be like, oh, well, that's just what it's called, and I'm gonna go tell you that I don't care what it's called. I have siblings with different parental figures, and they are still just my sibling, period, point blank, okay? And she has a younger brother named Sakani. I like Sakani. I really like that name. That's a really cute name for the little boy. I just wanted to say that. They stay in Garden Heights, but like I said, the older children, I believe all of them, but I want to say for sure that the older children, Seven and Star herself, attend Williamson Prep. Now, the entire story is Star being the narrator. So we are hearing everything from her point of view the entire time. I don't hate first person because I feel like for the purpose of this book, that it was important for the book to be in first person and for us to get the account from Star. So I think it really helped the story, and I find that to be very beneficial with, the feelings that are evoked in different things. So in different scenes and stuff like that within the story. So hate to dump all of these characters, but we'll just kind of tell the story of what it is if you want to know more about what The Hate U Give is and what's all about, because I'm telling you, it definitely can take you through. The story starts with Star and her friend, half sister, kinda, I guess, if you want to use half, Kenya. Now, Star and Kenya are at a party in Garden Heights, and Kenya is the sister to Seven. Now, Kenya and Seven have the same mom, and Star and Seven have the same dad. So that's why we have this mixture of family, and I really enjoyed that part because I feel like it's very authentic to the family dynamics within Black culture. Not every Black family is going to have a bunch of mixed siblings, as far as half here, whatever, step there, whatever. But there are people who do, and I am one of them. Technically, I have siblings from my dad. I have siblings from my mom, and then I have a sibling who is we both have the same mom and dad. So. It's really authentically related how, this is just a snippet of what it means to be within Black culture. So I really enjoyed that. They're at a party, and Kenya's very feisty, honey. Kenya is with the shits, is what people would say. She is down to throw hands at any point in time. She's ready to go. Okay, it's not a game to her. If you look at her funny, you finna catch a fade, and if you don't know what a fade is, just know you don't ever want to catch it. Okay. So they're at the party. Kenya's talking a lot of mess. And Star, you get to meet Star in all her, what you would call code switching, right? So she is Star of Garden Heights right now. So she is in the cut, laid back, quiet to herself, because she acknowledges that among people who look like her, she's not the coolest, right? Even though she's freshly dressed, she got the fresh J's on. Sis loves to put on a fresh pair of J's. She knows the music and everything like that. But she cool to sit back in the cut and not do anything. That is Star. And I'm here for it, sis, because I don't need to be the center of attention a lot of times. So while at the party, she runs into her childhood best friend, Khalil. Now, Khalil and Star grew up together. Khalil's grandmother used to watch him and Star, and they just have grown up being friends. They used to be a trio, but Natasha was sadly gunned down while she was playing outside. There was a drive-by in the neighborhood, and she was murdered. And Star was with her. So, I mean, like, reading this book, like, I was literally, like, my heart was just, like, being shredded reading this book. But let's keep going. I'm not ready for that yet, but I'm letting you know. I cried. I cried a lot in this book. But back to Khalil and Star. So they get to talking, and Star, is checking, seeing Khalil's cute. Now, she had a little crush on him back in the day. But things happen. And that's really all you got. Things happen. They start talking and reminiscing, and she's having a good time, and she's peeping that he's freshly dressed, and she's heard some things in the neighborhood about what he's doing, and, she's hoping it's not true. But before they can really dive any deeper into the conversation, a fight breaks out and shots are fired, like actual gunshots. So Khalil takes Star and is like, I'm going to drop you off at home. In the car while they're going home, I believe Khalil is playing Tupac. And first off, shout out to everybody who's exposing their kids to good hip hop, okay? And people can say what they want, but Tupac was that motherfudger, okay? May he rest in peace. And so he's talking about thug life, right? Like, Tupac liked to talk about thug life. And so Khalil shares with Star what Tupac meant by thug life. And the acronym that he gives, like I said, for thug life, he says that thug life means the hate you give little infants fucks everybody. My. If you don't know what that means, just wait. I'll let you know. But of course, they're driving at night. They're black. And they're in, the hood or whatever. And so an officer pulls them over, and he doesn't like how Khalil is looking, and I'm gonna kind of speed through this because it definitely triggers for me a lot of emotions so essentially the officer has Khalil step out of the car, and he's making him stand at the hood and everything like that, and he goes back to check his information, and Khalil's good. He doesn't have any drugs, anything, or weapons or anything in the car, but he does go back. He's at the hood of the car, and he goes back to the driver's side window to check on Star and ask her if she's okay. He reaches into the car to grab a brush, and the officer fires shots and kills him with his back turned. Star jumps out of the car. She's trying to find him, help him, but she's like freaking out. And the scene ends with the officer pointing the gun at her. So, we go from there, and we get into basically everything to do with what surrounds a young black woman when she's seen her friend murdered by the people who are supposed to protect them, trying to navigate that, and then still take off this Garden Heights star and put on Williamson prep star and go and navigate in that life. And that is perhaps the most gut-wrenching authentic part of this book, because so often Black people are expected to remove the effects and the trauma of oppression, and we're supposed to put on our happy-go-lucky professional, we can do anything, strong people, whatever bullshit you want to call it. And we'll get to that. So Star is operating in, who she is at Williamson Prep. She has a boyfriend. His name is Chris. He is white. She has friends, Haley, who is white, and Maya, who is Asian American. And these are her friends. They, play basketball, and they are a tight-knit group. But, the dynamics in the group are always very particular. You have Maya and Star, who are, they seem to be very go along to get along, just do whatever. And you have Haley, who is the self-deemed leader of the group. She makes the decisions. She's supposed to run everything. Everybody has to do what she wants. Baby, we've all had that friend. God bless it. Now, there are some key characters that I am going to not talk too much more about the story, because I do want to get to the characters, and I want to talk about just the things that I loved and the things that I didn't love so much. So we have the Williamson Prep crew, and like I said, that's Maya, Haley, and Chris, her boyfriend. Her brother Seven also attends Williamson Prep, and Star herself. We have her family. Again, that's Big Mav. We got Lisa, her mom. Big Mav is her father. And Lisa, her mother. Seven, her brother. Sakani, her younger brother. And then, through parentage of her brother, we have Kenya, who is her half-sister, sort of sorts. And then we have Lyric, who is also another younger half sister, but she's so young in this story that you don't really get any kind of, feedback from her. But who are their parents? So Kenya, Lyric, and Seven have the same mother. Aisha is their mother, and she is she in the past has done sex work. Respect sex workers. And she is with King. Now, King is the leader, the head honcho of the King Lords, which is a gang in Garden Heights. They, sell drugs, run the neighborhood, stuff like that. King took over, actually, after Star's father, Big Mav, got out of the gang. Once you're in a gang, you're usually in it for life. But Big Mav took the heat. He took the fall. He went to jail for a few years, and because he took the fall for someone else, he was able to leave the gang and go about his regular life and just providing for his family. King is abusive. King is an asshole. King is he's the villain of the story beyond the officer who murders Khalil in cold blood. There are two other characters that I would like to mention. Uncle Carlos, who is Star's uncle, her mom's brother, and Devante. Now, Devante is a teenager from Garden Heights. He ends up having to seek out Big Mav because he needs help. He's in the King Lords, and he made some not so great decisions. And so he needed to hide out because the King Lords were after him. And he eventually ends up moving with her Uncle Carlos. Now, her Uncle Carlos, Star's Uncle Carlos, actually lives in the same vicinity of the neighborhoods that make up Williamson Prep. So nicer houses, stuff like that. And Lisa, Star's mother, is very adamant about wanting to move there, move the entire family. But throughout most of the book, Big Mav is like, nah, we need to stay in the neighborhood. How can I really say I care about the neighborhood? And I'm trying to pick up and move. Again, the story is the progression of Star trying to handle the fact that she witnessed this officer murder her childhood friend, trying to operate in that normal for her, and also be a normal teenager, going to school, having prom dances, and having a boyfriend, and being afraid to tell your dad about your boyfriend, especially with him being white. Yeah. Now, there are a couple of key scenes that I just want to point out that really hit home for me in a lot of ways. As I mentioned, this book was not something that I was looking forward to reading. Actually, I received the book probably about in the early part of January, and we were meant to be reading the book the whole month. I did not start reading until probably like the 23rd or 24th of January. I mean, it took me just like 2 days to finish it. 2 or 3 days actually, and collectively, but I kept taking breaks because it really is a very emotional read. It definitely takes me through a lot of feelings, and it triggers a lot of things for me, trying to like a whole lot of things, right? Like, so to give a little why this is so impactful, like imagine being a young kid who is a part of one part of the world, and then you are meant to accommodate or acclimate yourself to another part of the world. But you're still supposed to be connected and authentic and down with this part. And that can be very traumatizing for children when we are put in positions where we're being pulled from multiple sides. And it doesn't have to just be about culture. It can be within family. It can be within identity. It can be within whatever it is. Anytime that you are being forced or pulled between two opposing forces, it creates tension. It creates a wear and tear on you emotionally and mentally. So just seeing this play out on the page for Star, and it definitely brings up feelings of like, ugh. I know that's not like very articulate, but that's what I got. Feelings of, ugh, like, oh my God, I can't read any more of this. Yeah. So what did I love about this book? I mean, because I told you I loved it, and I feel like I haven't quite said exactly what I've loved about this book. So let's go ahead and talk about what I loved about this book. I love the fact that the family dynamic. I love it. I'm always here for the demonstration of a family dynamic that doesn't tie into a stereotype, right? So abusive mother, abusive father. We know that these things are real. We know that these things happen. And there are families that aren't like that. There are families that are just normal. We argue, we fight, we disagree. We may have semi-toxic traits. But at the end of the day, we are family. We love one another. We care about one another. We inspire one another to keep pushing and keep going on and keep moving forward. So I really loved the fact that Star was in a healthy family dynamic. I love the fact that her father was present. I love the fact that her mother was present, and that they were both loving and caring and nurturing parents. That even in the midst, I also believe that this is a great demonstration of how our upbringing can teach us one thing. Lisa's mother, her name is Miss Rosalie, isn't very nice. She isn't super lovey-dovey. She's not very, like the quintessential grandma who knits and bakes cookies and tells you to come here and give me a kiss. No, that's not Miss Rosalie. Miss Rosalie is with the shits at all times of the day. She don't care. She lives with Uncle Carlos and his wife, and she she bout it. And I love that we can see how even in the midst of someone who may not have been as affectionate as, traditionally nurturing, what we like to believe nurturing should look like, that Lisa and Carlos are healthy adults for the most part, as far as, emotionally, and they are working to ensure that these children are healthy teenagers that will grow into healthy adults. I'm totally here for all of it. Like, that is something that is impactful, and I believe it does do a great work. I loved also how the tragedies within the book did not define the characters, right? Like, oftentimes I get that, especially in the publishing realm, which I'll touch on in a minute, maybe not, but what happens is that Black people get defined by what we can overcome. We overcame slavery. We overcame Jim Crow. We are overcoming the systematic racism. Black women are overcoming patriarchy and prejudice against our skin color. We are and that's like the only narrative. Like, it's a belief that Black people as a culture, Black people as a group are so monolithic that the only thing that we have value in is how we overcome. And that's not it. We are such a full-bodied group. Black culture is so heavy with all of the ways that you can be a part of Black culture. You can love hip hop, you can love classical, you can wear big hair, you can wear weave, you can wear makeup, you can go natural, you can believe in crystals and sage, and you can also be spiritual in a way that's more traditionally accepted, as far as going to church every Sunday. Black people are beautiful. They're wondrous and magical and everything in between. And we get to see how this magic permeates through the experiences and the joy and the laughter that continues to happen, not because of, but in spite of everything that is almost set in front of them to cause them not to be happy. They get to celebrate Seven graduating high school and going to college, even though he doesn't want to go because he wants to stay home and take care of his sisters, because King is abusive and is abusing their mother, and he doesn't want them to abuse. He doesn't want his mother to be abused, and he definitely doesn't want his sisters to be abused. Another thing I absolutely loved about this book is that it is so authentic. Again, I've mentioned this several times throughout the video, but Angie Thomas managed to give us like a telescope into the lives of so many young Black girls, right? Like, I mean, just so many different views and lives and lifestyles can connect to Star. I connected with Star so much that when I say I was stopping to cry, I'm being so serious. Like, I'm not crying today, honey, because this makeup has been on for a few hours now, and I'm not fit to be on this camera running. But I just felt her in her interactions with her friends in Williamson Prep. I felt her with her interactions with Kenya and people in the neighborhood, and just never quite feeling like you can be yourself, and then also not wanting these different factions of you to collide and come together and have to be one. Even thinking about it now makes me like emotional, because to think that so many young women and young men, because it's not just us, that are trying to live more than one life. So I love the authenticity in the book. It was everything to me. So what did I not like? I didn't like the authenticity in the book. I'm laughing, being so serious, I did not like how real this book was, because especially after surviving 2020, watching once again Black bodies being brutally murdered in the streets, in their beds, in the cars, watching that happen over and over in 2020, and the resulting protests and the violence and the hatred that was spewed by people on social media and in public spaces, and people who I didn't elect them, but who were elected to help center us and lead us into something beyond this pain that the country was feeling, just be part of that pain. Good riddance. It was a lot to take in. And then it's all happening in a pandemic. I was meant to graduate last year and walk across the stage and receive my bachelor's after many sleepless nights and stress and mental breakdowns and arguments and fights with my husband and feelings of guilt with my children. It was all like snatched away, and all of that emotional upheaval that went on in 2020. And then to read a book that is just a snippet of like a real event that happened. And I believe this book came out before 2020. I want to say it came out in 2019. And if I'm wrong, I'll put the correct date somewhere. But it just goes to show you that it's not that Angie Thomas can tell the future. It's that Angie Thomas knows the past. Angie Thomas knows the present. She knows what's going on right now, what continues to go on, because things are not changing as rapidly as I believe they can. And, you know, we are working every day, but it doesn't help when, you know, people work harder against a forward moving culture. But no political stuff. That was really mainly the only thing I didn't like. Like I mentioned, I would absolutely recommend this book to anybody who's wanting to get a view into the dichotomy of Black culture, right? Again, this is just a small snippet. This is not applicable to every single Black person. It's not, it's not applicable to every single Black experience. But it does give you a small view. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I don't want to tell you about the Black experience, right? I mentioned that I would talk more about it, and I will briefly, because the video is getting pretty long. But I wanted you to understand that the reason that I recommend this book to pretty much every single white person in the entire world, and any Black person who's that damn tone deaf that you don't realize that this shit is serious. We tired. Black people are tired. If you follow me on Twitter or any other of my social media, I'll be doing a post here again in a little bit. But honey, I took off my cape and I burned that bitch. I'm not a superwoman. I will never ever claim to be ever again, because what ends up happening is that we are meant to not be vulnerable. We are not allowed to be vulnerable and be tired. We're not allowed to be over it. We're just supposed to, persevere, and we're supposed to keep going. And baby, no. A bitch is tired. You want to know, you're listening. Every time somebody messes up and does something racist, or something that they have done racist in the past comes up, and you want to sit with it. I'm listening. I hear you. Bitch, pick up a book. Pick up a book, honey. Pick up a book, sit down and read to comprehend. Because talking to me about my Black experience, I'm tired. I'm not going to explain to anybody else what it means to be Black. Matter of fact, even though I'm technically doing it now, this is all you get. I'm not. I'm tired. We tired of teaching y'all. We tired. People have spoken, they have sang, they have demonstrated, they have danced, they have created, they have painted, they have molded, they have written so much of the Black experience beyond racism, but including racism and an understanding of prejudice and systematic oppression, that if you don't get it, if you don't believe that it's real, you just don't want to. You are the Haley of the story. You don't want to hear about the Black experience that's not so pretty. The underbelly, right? You don't want to hear about it. And so you do everything in your power to ignore it. I think these books are great. I said I wanted my children to read it when they are older. Absolutely. Because it is my prayer that I never have to have my children live in an environment where it's unsafe for them to be outside and play. However, I want them to understand what can happen in these communities, why it's important for these communities to be treated with respect and value and care, because regardless of the not so great parts, there are great people in these communities that are doing great, positive, uplifting work. And we, even if we don't live there, can still contribute in a positive way to help bettering those communities, because there's a lot of history that goes into the ghettos and the hoods and all of that, the projects, all of that history. It's important that your children, my children, because I can't speak for yours, understand what what was going on, how they impacted parts of Black culture and, all of that. So I really hope that you all get a chance to check out this book. Again, I probably won't watch the movie, but stranger things have happened. I mean, never say never, okay? And I'm talking about the Brandy, not the Justin Bieber. Check out the book. Check out the movie. Have discussions with your friends and family if you feel so led. If you don't, I respect you and I respect your decisions, because I think it's very important that Black people take care of ourselves. It's okay for us to be a little selfish and be like, you know what? I can't help you. I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. But I will direct you to places that you can get your help, okay? Check out the book if you'd like. I recommend it for sure. But check out the book if you are ready and able to handle the triggers and the emotional upheaval that will come with it. Because it definitely is going to take you on a journey, honey. And listen, some of us, sometimes we got to do things for our mental health. But this book is amazing. And I will definitely say that Angie Thomas has definitely become an author that I love to read. Sorry, I thought it was a spider and I was about to have a heart attack. Okay, take two. I can't wait to grab another book of hers. I'm praying that it's not like this one. That is so bad, but I'm sure she understands that this look, there are a lot of things I can't do something like that again. Not so soon. Give me like 6, 7, 8, 9 years. Months maybe, but really preferably years before I have to read another book that makes me cry so often. I'm going back to my hot, dirty sex books, because romances are life. And yeah. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you are not already subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and click that subscribe button and just hit the notifications, because I'm going to let you know that I'm going to be more consistent for sure. And I have a new little segment coming, and I hope you all will enjoy it, because I'm very, very excited. I talk a lot, so I want to talk about some stuff that really is near and dear to my heart, and that is Black authors, the publishing industry, and all of the foolery that goes on within there. So y'all know I got to talk about it. I told y'all I was going to talk about it, and it's going down. You know I'm finna do it, and I'm finna do it, and I'm finna do it, okay? Make sure that you are encouraging yourself. Love one another. Love yourself. I'm out.